think that was the... I think the white line's over here.
Yep. A little bit further. Yeah, we're in our lane now.
Yep.
That's got deeper.
Yeah, I reckon it has.
Hey! Fuck! Is that car still behind us?
Don't know.
Would he even leave? Because that's got deeper.
Yeah, he's still behind us.
Broome is facing a massive clean-up after it was swamped by record rain, leaving it flooded and isolated. The town's copped almost 700 millimetres of rain in the last 5 days and notched up a record for the wettest month in its history.
Water as far as the eye can see at Roebuck Plains, the Great Northern Highway under it somewhere.
Have you seen the water like this here before?
Never. I've seen it where it crosses the road for a few yards, but I've never seen it that far, that direction or this direction.
It might look impressive, but all this water is causing major disruptions. The only highway heading into and out of Broome already shut down for 2 days, and the flood's not expected to recede for several more. Road train driver John Guy among dozens of people stranded at roadhouses.
If it's shut for an extended amount of time, Broome's going to run out of food, and the rest of the towns up the far north.
Come for a drive to see if my husband is going to, see if they've opened the road, to see if my husband will come home, but...
They haven't?
No.
The tourist town copped another 60 mils of rain overnight. That's almost 700 mils in 5 days, a once-in-a-century weather event. All up, January has seen 942 mils fall. It'll go down in history as Broome's wettest month on record. A similar story for nearby West Roebuck, smashed with a whopping 1,090 mils since the start of the year. Even emergency services admit they were caught off guard.
The total output that was forecast for rainfall was around 100 to 150 mil. We've received significantly more than that.
SES crews received 70 calls for help over the past 2 days. 100 km/h winds wreaking havoc.
A huge tree came down and it kept me, the canopies collapsed and kept me on the floor for many hours. Trying to find a way out.
Have you seen weather like this before up here?
Never, no.
Plenty of Broome is still underwater, but the rain finally eased today, giving locals the chance to begin cleaning up. Council workers kept busy with hundreds of toppled trees, damaged infrastructure expected to rack up a big repair bill.
Exposed and at the mercy of the elements. Greymouth slammed by strong winds, gales of up to 150 kilometres an hour recorded along the coast.
The winds have been really, really strong all night and just took the garage and threw it over the paddock.
Pieces of the former Revington's hotel torn off and dumped across Greymouth's main road and train tracks. The town centre and schools around the district closed for fear of more damage.
Once we received the warning from Civil Defence about the winds between 12 and 2, we made a call that it was safer for the kids to leave now. It's not worth taking the risk for our kids.
The stormy scenes even surprising the locals.
We get surface flooding, but nothing like that. And it hasn't rained that much.
The shoreline, normally 50 metres away, lapping at doorsteps in a matter of minutes.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, and this rose super fast. This was only 20 minutes from nothing.
Homeowners packing their valuables before being evacuated through knee-high water.
Quite surreal. You know, that's the ocean.
Down the coast in Hukatika, homes suffered a similar fate, the high seas also delivering a surprise guest.
There he is, Diplocrepus puniceus is the name. A little orange clingfish. We're probably 100 metres away from the sea, and waves have just washed all the way down Weld Lane here.
This little visitor getting some help back home, a feeling some fellow West Coasters may have to wait a few days for.
But the courtyard is pretty flooded. Oh shit!
In Antigonish, Nova Scotia, the trouble started with a flash flood in this parking lot.
That's Alex's car, completely submerged. Look at this guy over here.
A spiffy new SUV suddenly ruined, shocking its owner.
It's just not registering at first what we're seeing, and then finally, after a few seconds, it kind of sinks in that, oh my God, the cars are in water, like up to their headlights, and there's ice everywhere.
Hers had lots of company. A rapid freeze-up paralyzed more than 20 vehicles, leaving them stuck in place for much of the weekend. The result of an ice jam in a creek that left gushing rainwater nowhere else to go. Today, there was more heavy rain and even more flooding.
If you look closely, the parking meters, the water is almost up to the top of the meters.
When you get 10 degrees one day and then the next morning it's minus 20 with a wind chill, and you do that repeatedly, it's going to cause problems. I mean, Mother Nature's the boss, right?
As the town imposes travel restrictions and people move other vehicles to higher ground, residents of another community are relieved. Only a few scattered chunks of ice remain from an ice jam in Sussex, New Brunswick that loosened up and floated away just as people started preparing for the worst.
I thought maybe it would even be higher today than it was, but maybe the rain wasn't quite as heavy.
In some other parts of the Maritimes, flooding is confined to the usual flood plains, although strong winds that accompanied the storm did blow part of a roof off this music school, denting a car below when it landed. Back in Antigonish, mild temperatures are forecast to plunge well below freezing again overnight, raising fears about the impacts of another sudden freeze. Ross Lohr, Global News, Halifax.
С 2000-х годов было принято решение правительством Москвы организовать такие снегосплавные пункты для того, чтобы улучшить экологическую ситуацию в московском регионе. Снежная масса попадает в коллектор, где смешивается со сточными водами. В песколовках оседает крупный мусор, и вода по канализационным сетям дальше отправляется на очистные сооружения города, где проходит полный курс биологической и химической очистки.
A couple of years ago, we noted that the slowdown in global warming had ended and the warming rate had recovered to the values in the late 20th century. And that suggests that the world is continuing to warm at the rate that it has done long term. Other indicators like Arctic sea ice are consistent with that. They're at or near record low. And so there's continued decline of the Arctic sea ice as well, obviously consistent with the high rate of warming. What we've now done is taken the latest observations. These are observations of the atmosphere, the ocean, the land surface, the ice itself. We put all that together, create our best estimate of what the climate is doing today, and then run our computer models out for the next few years to see what's in store out to 5 years ahead. So these are not like the long-term projections of climate. They are more like weather forecasts, if you like, or climate forecasts initialized with the latest observations. So they're our best estimate of what's about to happen next. And for the first time, these show that there is now a chance that we could exceed 1.5 degrees warming in global temperature compared to pre-industrial times. When we run these forecasts, we run a whole bunch of forecasts, not just one, but a whole bunch, to see the uncertainty in what is about to happen. Just like a weather forecast, they can wander around and there is some uncertainty, so we can measure the range of what is possible. And over the next 5 years, it suggests that temperatures will stay at or near record levels, at least 1 or so degree above pre-industrial temperatures. And there is about a 10% chance that at least one of those years in the next 5 years could exceed 1.5 degrees of warming relative to pre-industrial. It's important to note that this is not an exceedance of the Paris ambition to maintain global warming below 1.5 degrees. That agreement, that ambition, is really referring to the long-term average climate. These are fluctuations around that long-term average. And so 1 year could flicker over the 1.5 degree level without breaking the Paris Agreement. So there is still time to meet the Paris Agreement and the Paris ambition, but this very high rate of recent warming and this latest forecast suggests that we rapidly need to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases.